بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In this lesson, we are going to understand a very important concept in Arabic grammar, the Masdar. The word Masdar in Arabic literally means source or origin. In grammar, it refers to what we call a verbal noun. This means it comes from a verb, but it does not behave like a verb. Instead, it represents the idea or concept of the action, without mentioning who did it or when it happened. So this is very important. A Masdar gives us the action as an idea, not as something happening in time. Now, to understand this better, let us connect it with English. In English, we also express ideas in similar ways. For example, when we say to submit, we are talking about the idea of submitting, not an actual action happening. Similarly, when we say submitting or submission, all of these are ways of expressing the idea of the action. So whether we say to submit, submitting, or submission, we are not talking about a specific person doing the action at a specific time. We are talking about the concept itself. This is exactly what a Masdar does in Arabic. Now let us make this even clearer. An idea is something you can name, but no action has actually taken place. For example, words like education, patience, thinking, happiness, anger, recitation, or driving. These are all ideas. Nothing is happening in time, and there is no doer mentioned. In English, many of these ideas appear in forms ending with shun, like reflection, addition, multiplication, or in forms ending with ing, like reading, writing, sleeping, and working. All of these represent actions as ideas. Now let us go back to Arabic and understand the difference between a verb and a masdar. An Arabic verb normally contains three pieces of information. First, it contains the action, for example, he opened. Second, it contains the doer, meaning who performed the action. And third, it contains the time, whether the action happened in the past, present, or future. But when we convert that verb into a masdar, we remove two of these elements. We remove the doer and we remove the time. What remains is only the action itself. So we can say clearly, Masdar equals the action without doer and without time. For example, the word fathun means opening. It represents the action, but it does not tell us who opened or when it happened. So it is just the idea of opening. And since Masdar is a noun, it behaves like a noun. It can take tanween when it is indefinite, it can take alif lam when it is definite, and it follows the rules of nouns in grammar. So to summarize this part, a masdar is a verbal noun. It comes from a verb, but it only carries the meaning of the action, without any information about the doer or the time. Now that we understand what a masdar is, an action without doer and without time, we need to understand something very important. In the Qur'an and in Arabic generally, a masdar is very flexible. It may look like a noun, but it can actually perform many different roles in a sentence. This is why sometimes students get confused. They see a masdar and think it is just a noun, but in reality, its function changes, depending on the context. So let us now look at this carefully through the table in front of us. First row, masdar as mubtada. We have the masdar as-safaru, meaning traveling. Now see its role. It is used as a mubtada, the subject of the sentence. The example is as-safaru mut'atun. Traveling is a pleasure. So here, as-safaru is the mubtada. Notice how the idea of traveling itself becomes the subject. No person is mentioned, just the concept. Second row, masdar as khabar. The masdar is as-samtu, meaning silence. Here, it is used as the khabar. The example, afdalus samtu, the best is silence. So in this case, the masdar is not the subject, but the information about the subject. It completes the meaning. Third row, masdar as maf'ul bihi. The masdar is al-qira'ah, meaning reading. Here, it is used as maf'ul bihi, the object. The example, uhibbul qira'ata, I love reading. Now notice something important. The verb uhibbu needs an object, something to love. That object is al-qira'ata, which is the masdar. So the action reading becomes the object of another verb. Fourth row, masdar as shibhu fi'l, verb-like expression. The masdar is al-kitaba, meaning writing. Here, it is used in a phrase, fil kitaba, in writing. This is called shibhu fi'l, meaning it behaves like a verb in meaning, but grammatically it is still a noun. So here, the masdar is part of a phrase that gives a sense of action, but without becoming an actual verb. Fifth row, masdar as mudaf ilay. The masdar is again as-safaru, traveling. Here, it appears in the phrase zamanus safari, the time of traveling. So now the masdar is functioning as mudaf ilay, meaning it is part of an idafa structure. It is not the main word, but it completes the meaning of another noun. Sixth row, masdar as hal. The masdar is al-bukhari, meaning crying. The example is laqituhu fi halatil bukai. I met him while he was crying. Here, the masdar is expressing a state, so it is functioning as a hal. It describes the condition in which the action took place. There are most common 10 forms of verbs in Arabic, from Form 1 to Form 10. In this module, we are focusing only on Form 1, and one important thing to understand is that Form 1 has many different masdar patterns. This means that for the same root verb, the masdar does not always follow one fixed pattern. Instead, it can appear in different forms. You can see some of these patterns listed here, such as fa'lun, fu'ulun, fi'alun, fa'alatun, fi'lun, fu'lun, fa'lan. Now do not worry about memorizing these patterns at this stage. This is just to show you that in Form 1, masdar forms can vary. However, there is some good news. From Form 2 to Form 10, the masdar usually follows one consistent pattern, which makes it much easier to learn later. Now let us look carefully at this table in front of us. This table is designed to help you clearly see the relationship between a verb and its masdar. Before we go into the rows, let us first understand the columns, because this is the key to reading the table properly. We start from the right side. The last column shows the root letters, usually 3 letters, which form the base of the word. For example, kaf, ta, ba are the roots related to writing. Next to that, we have the madi verb, which is the past tense form, such as kataba. Then we have the meaning of the madi, which simply explains the action in English, like he wrote. Next comes the masdar, which is the focus of our lesson. This is the verbal noun, such as kitaba. And finally, the first column shows the masdar meaning in English, which helps you connect the concept, such as writing. So now you can see the full flow, root to verb, to action, to masdar, to idea. Now let us go through a few rows to understand the pattern. Look at the first row. We have the root kaf, ta, ba, the verb kataba, meaning he wrote, and the masdar kitaba, meaning writing. So here, the action, write, becomes the idea, writing. Now look at the next row. The root noon, jwa, raw, the verb nazara, meaning he looked, and the Masdar nazara, meaning looking. Again, the action is converted into an idea. Now the third row, the root zal, kaf, raw, the verb zakara, meaning he mentioned, and the Masdar zikrun, meaning remembering or remembrance. So again, the action becomes an idea. Now look at another example, kafara, he disbelieved, and its Masdar kufrun, meaning disbelief. Notice how the form changes, but the meaning still represents the action as a concept. Now look at talaba, he requested, and the Masdar talabun, meaning requesting. Again, the same idea. Now notice something very important. The Masdar forms are not all the same. Some are kitaba, zikrun, kufrun, khuruzun, nikahun, ibadah. So the pattern is changing, even though all of them are Masdar. This is exactly what we mentioned earlier. In Form 1, Masdar does not follow one fixed pattern. It can appear in different forms depending on the word. Now look at a few more rows. Kharaja becomes khurujun, exiting. Nakaha becomes nikahun, marrying. Abada becomes ibadah, worshipping. Shaka becomes shakwa, complaining. Zakara becomes zikra, remembrance. Rahima becomes rahma, mercy. Nasiya becomes nisyani, forgetting. Ghafara becomes gufranan, forgiving. So even though the forms look different, all of them are doing the same job. They are all masdar. They all represent the action as an idea. Remember, do not try to memorize all these patterns. Just familiarize yourself with them. Now let us move to the next important concept, Masdar Mu'awwal. Before we understand this, let us quickly remind ourselves what a Masdar is. A Masdar is simply the idea or concept of an action. In English, we express this in different ways, such as to go, to read, to eat, or to sit. We can also express the same idea using forms like going, reading, eating, or even words like submission or revelation. All of these are ways of expressing an action as an idea. Now, Masdar Mu'awwal is closely related to this concept, but it is slightly different. Masdar Mu'awwal is not a single word. Instead, it is a phrase that functions like a masdar. In other words, it behaves like a verbal noun, even though it is made up of more than one word. So what is this phrase? Masdar Mu'awwal is formed using the particle an, followed by a mudari verb, a present tense verb, in the mansub form. So the structure is an and fal mudari, mansub. Now what happens when we combine these two? This structure converts a verb phrase into a noun-like expression. In other words, it turns an action into an idea, just like a masdar. Let us look at simple examples. When we say ayakhruja, it means to go out. And when we say ayazhaba, it means to go. Now notice something important. These are not single words. They are phrases, but they behave exactly like a masdar. That is why we call them Masdar Mu'awwal, meaning a converted or interpreted masdar. So instead of using a one-word masdar, Arabic sometimes uses a full phrase, and that phrase takes the role of a noun in the sentence. This is a very powerful feature of Arabic, because now an entire action expressed as a phrase can act as a subject, an object, or any other grammatical role. So let us make this very clear. Masdar equals one word, for example, writing, reading. Masdar Mu'awwal equals a phrase, an, plus verb, but both represent the idea of an action. So whenever you see an plus fi'il mudari, do not treat it just as a verb phrase. Instead, ask yourself, is this acting like a noun in the sentence? If yes, then this is a Masdar Mu'awwal. Now let us move to the next part, which is the examples of Masdar Mu'awwal. We must go through this table very carefully, because this is where the rule becomes practical. The table has two columns. On one side, we have the English meaning, and on the other side, we have the Arabic example. Our main task is to notice the red highlighted part in each Arabic sentence, because that is the Masdar Mu'awwal, the phrase made of an and mudari verb. Let us begin with the first row. I want to go out of the house. Uridu an akhruja min al-bayt. Here the highlighted phrase is an akhruja. This is Masdar Mu'awwal. It gives the meaning of to go out, and the whole phrase functions like a noun. In the sentence, it is what is wanted, so it functions like the object of uridu. Now the second row, I love to read the Qur'an. Uhibbu an aqra al-Qur'an. Again, the highlighted phrase is an aqra'a. This is also Masdar Mu'awwal. It means to read, and in the sentence, it acts like the thing being loved. Now the third row, I want to go there. Uridu an adhaba hunaka. Here again, an adhaba is the Masdar Mu'awwal. It means to go, and it is functioning as the object of the verb I want. Now the fourth row, he loves to eat fish. Yuhibbu ayakula samak. The highlighted part is ayakula. Once again, this is Masdar Mu'awwal. It means to eat, and it functions as the thing being loved. Now the fifth row, the teacher orders you to study. Al-mudarrisu ya'murukum an tadrusu. Here the highlighted phrase is an tadrusu. This is Masdar Mu'awwal, meaning to study. It comes after the verb of ordering, and it gives the action being commanded. Now the sixth row, people don't want to die. La yuridu nasu ayyamutu. The highlighted phrase is ayyamutu. This again is Masdar Mu'awwal. It means to die, and it is the thing that people do not want. Now the seventh row, I want to do the task. Uridu an af'ala al-amal. Here, the highlighted phrase an af'ala is the Masdar Mu'awwal. It means to do and functions as the object of wanting. Now the eighth row, but to fast is best for you. Wa an tasumu khayrun lakum. Here the highlighted phrase is an tasumu. This is very important, because in this example, the Masdar Mu'awwal is not acting as an object. Instead, it is acting as the subject-like element, the thing being spoken about. In meaning, to fast is what is being described as better for you. So from these rows, we see a very important lesson. The Masdar Mu'awwal may appear after verbs like want, love, or order, and in those cases, it often functions like the object. But it can also appear in other positions, such as the subject side of a sentence. Now let us move to the next subheading. More examples from Quran. These examples are more advanced and require careful attention. The first example says, do you feel secure that He who is over the heaven, Allah, will not cause the earth to swallow you, then suddenly the earth starts to shake violently? The Arabic is, أَأَمِنْتُمْ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاءِ أَن يَخْسِفَ بِكُمُ الْأَرْضِ فَإِذَا هِيَ تَمُورُ. Here the highlighted phrase is أَن يَخْسِفَ. This is the Masdar Mu'awwal. Under the example, the note says, it contains an implied negative sense. This means that although the structure outwardly has an plus verb, the meaning is connected to a warning or negation in the context. So this is not just a plain to cause the earth to swallow. It carries an implied negative and fearful sense in the wider verse. Now look at the second example under the same subheading. Or do you feel secure that He who is above will not send against you a storm of stones? Then you shall know how terrible was my warning. The Arabic is Am amintum man fis sama'i ay yursila alaykum hasiban فَسَتَعْلَمُونَ كَيْفَ نَذِيرٌ. Here the highlighted phrase is أَيُرْسِلَ. Again, this is the Masdar Mu'awwal. And once again, the note says it contains an implied negative sense. So this example also teaches us that the Masdar Mu'awwal may appear in contexts where the sentence meaning carries an implied warning or negative force. So let us now summarize this whole section carefully. Under the heading Examples, we saw many ordinary examples where Masdar Mu'awwal appears as the noun-like expression after verbs such as want, love, and order. Then under the subheading More Examples from Quran, we saw more advanced Quranic uses where the same structure appears, but the broader context gives an implied negative or warning sense. The most important thing to remember is this. Whenever you see an and mudari verb, ask yourself whether that whole phrase is functioning like a noun in the sentence. If it is, then it is Masdar Mu'awwal. After that, the next step is to ask what role it is playing, object, subject-like role, or another noun function. And finally, always pay attention to the context, because sometimes the surrounding meaning adds something extra, such as warning, fear, or implied negation. Jazakumullahu khairan. This brings us to the end of this lesson. If you found this video useful, we warmly encourage you to join our online complete self-study course at Al-Qur'an Institute, designed for you to learn at your own time and space, where you will receive unlimited access to our PDF materials, multiple choice questions with answers, exams, and a certificate of completion. You can enroll through our website www.alquraninstitute.net or contact support directly from the website. If you benefited from this video, please like and share, subscribe to our channel, and press the bell icon to receive all future lessons. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make your Quranic Arabic journey easy, fill your heart with clarity and love for His words, and reward you abundantly in this world and the hereafter.